Hi everyone, welcome to Awkward Author. My name is Alyssa Grasso, and this is my weekly vlog and podcast about my sometimes awkward, always awesome author life. And not too much to report this week on the writing front for my author life. Things are moving along steadily with my work in progress. I hope to be a little bit further along when I talk to you this week. I had set a goal for myself to be at like 30,000 words. I'm not quite there. I'm at 28,000 words, which makes me very happy still. So, I feel like I'm roughly like a third of the way to being done with the first draft. That's not a third of the way to being done with a book, but that's still, it's still a nice place to be in, I think. And I feel like things are moving along pretty well, so I'm pretty happy about how they are going. And by the way, the reason, I can't blame it solely on this, but I had plans to do more writing than I got done yesterday, which was Monday, Memorial Day. I was working on some day job type stuff in the morning, and anyway, I made a stupid mistake. I actually thought I was going to save myself time and fix something, and ended up making like a huge problem for myself, and long story short is like I deleted something that I needed with no way to recover it, which meant I had to redo it all over again, and it was tedious work the first time around, so it was, excessively tedious the second time around. So that cost me a little over an hour probably of working time, and so that was less time that I spent, writing, because that was more time I had to spend on the day job stuff. And it all worked out fine in the end. It's really not that big a deal, but, it was my own fault. And like, there was also like a frustrated, 20 minutes or so where I was trying to figure out how I could recover the thing that I deleted, and ultimately found out that I could not. So that kind of stunk. And it's funny, I posted something about it on Twitter, just kind of venting, because it was like, just saying like, oh, it might be Memorial Day, but it's still Monday, and it's still behaving like Monday because of, this issue I had, and I deleted something or whatever and had to redo it. And one of the responses I got, most of the people that I interact with on Twitter are authors, because that's just the world I'm in. And one of the responses was from a fellow author who'd assumed it was like an author-related thing, and, her, putting a positive spin on a negative thing was like, I found that when I have to redo something, it's actually better the second time around or something like that. I do a better job, which can be true with the writing stuff sometimes. Maybe not always, but sometimes. But with like tedious stuff, it doesn't really matter, I guess. I remember way back when I was in college, and this was still like, I guess, my freshman year. As it happened, I commuted to school. I went to Rutgers in Newark, New Jersey. And sorry. And I commuted to school, and I started in January. Most people start college in September. I started in January, so as opposed to be on the 4-year plan, I was on like the 3.5-year plan. And so to make up for that, missing semester there, I would do some summer classes each year. And so this happened to be over the summer. It was like, really my freshman year summer, I guess. I'd already had like one semester, and then this was like really my second semester, which is a couple of summer classes I was taking. I was taking a comp class, which is like a requirement. I think it was like comp 2. And I had my own computer. I had that in my room. As I said, I commuted to school, and I worked on the weekends. I worked at a store to make money. And this particular weekend, I believe it was Father's Day, if I'm not mistaken. So that makes it, an extra great story. Anyway, I had an essay that was due, I think, on Monday. And so I had basically I had everything done. Like, I'd kind of procrastinate a little bit because that's how I am. But I had everything written on the computer. Like, I just wanted to go through and, proofread it, maybe make a few little changes and then print things out, and it was good to go. Now, this was way back when. I mean, the internet existed, but it was still in its infancy then. There wasn't much on the internet at that time. I'm old, okay? And anyway, so long story short, I had a computer in my room, and My dad also had his own computer, that he had. It was downstairs in our kitchen, and for whatever reason, he had upgraded the sound card in his computer and now had like another sound card, the one he had taken out that was like still good. And he's like, oh, do you want me to put this in your computer? And I was like, no, like, I don't need a sound card. Like, I used my computer. I didn't do like sound stuff on it, audio stuff. I basically used it for schoolwork and, typing essays and stuff. So I didn't need a sound card. And I did tell him that, but, he's a dad. Anyway, so that Sunday while I was at work, my dad decided to, surprise me by installing the sound card in my computer. You know how this is going to go. You know how this story is going to end. So I come home from work, and I think we were going to like go out for Father's Day or whatever, but I just wanted to, I had some time. So I was like, oh, let me just like, make those last changes to my essay and print it out. So that's all done. So I don't even have to worry about it later. Right. And, I could just, veg out later and then go to bed and, because I got to get up in the morning to go to school. So I go to turn on my computer and like, I used to boot from DOS. This is like how old this was. Anyway, it wasn't booting up. Like I was just getting this weird error message. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, I don't have a disk in the drive. Like, what's going on here? And, so I said something to my dad or something. He's like, oh, and he's like, well, I installed that new sound card, but it shouldn't be an issue. Well, it was an issue. I think we tried calling my uncle, one of my uncles, because they're kind of like computer guys, and they weren't able to help. And anyway, we went out to dinner, and I couldn't really be mad at my dad because it was Father's Day, but I was kind of annoyed. And so anyway, that night after dinner, we tried multiple attempts to, recover. And basically the only thing I could do was basically reload the whole operating system. And that meant I lost everything that was on the computer, including the essay that I'd written for school. And so this is, now at this point, it's like 10, 11 o'clock at night. I'm tired. I want to go to bed, but I got an essay due the next day. So my dad's like, well, don't you have it written out? Don't you have a copy written out? I'm like, no, I don't have a copy written out. Like, I don't write my stuff out ahead of time. I just type it, on the computer. I can type faster than I can write. So anyway, yeah. At 11 o'clock at night, now I don't remember what the essay was. I had a general idea of what it is. I'm annoyed. I'm tired. I'm not in a good mood. And so I had to rewrite the whole thing from scratch and just kind of wrote a different version of it because, I really didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I just was like, I just need to get this thing done. I couldn't even print it, as I recall, like, whatever he had done to my computer, like, it wasn't even able to print anymore, so I had to like save it to a disk and go in early and go to the computer lab to print it out and stuff. And I turned it in, and I'm trying to remember what it was on because this is Comp 2, so I think it was actually on, we had to read the novel Schindler's List and write an essay either related to the novel, related to the story of Oskar Schindler, something like that. And so yeah, it had something to do with, I think, like, I still had my original notes of research notes that I had done for the essay, and I think it was more like about truth and fiction, in the novel and something like, something along those lines. I think that was the general idea. I don't even remember now. But like I turned it in and, it was like, okay, at least I turned in an assignment. So fast forward to like a week or so later, and we get our essays back, our graded essays back. And I remember that the teacher made like this like speech, like, he was kind of disappointed in the essays that he had, received. They weren't really up to the quality he was hoping and stuff like that. And of course I'm thinking of like, well, yeah, I wrote mine at like, 11 o'clock at night from like, after working all day and, dealing with the computer all day, and I just, threw some words on the paper, right? He's like, so what I've done is I photocopied one of the essays. I removed the student's name, and, this is an example of, what I'd like to see, what I was hoping to see, and just so that you guys can see this is kind of what I'm looking for, or something like that. And of course, it was my essay, and, he said, like, the student could, volunteer their name if they wanted to. So I did, but, I remember, like, people were like, oh, how long did this take you to write? And you must have really done a lot of work on this. And, like, I didn't want to be like, well, I wrote the night before it was due at midnight, but that's kind of like the truth. So I was trying to dodge that question because I had written it out ahead of time. So I guess I kind of maybe vaguely remembered what I'd written, but, the thing that I wrote was definitely a much different version than the original thing I wrote. So I guess sometimes it can work out with creative stuff, although, oh man, was that a frustrating experience. And so I guess this is my friendly reminder as an author that you should always back up your stuff, and, multiple backups would be not a bad idea because, things happen. And sometimes it has something to do with your dad installing a sound card on your computer that you didn't want in the first place. I destroyed a whole computer with the help of a cat and a mug of tea. So anything can happen, and sometimes they just go. Like I said, my computer's been acting a little funky lately, so I'm always worried that one day it's just not gonna turn on or something. And I do back up when I'm writing, each day at the end of, a writing session. I actually email myself. Like, I have a second email address, and I just email documents to myself. I mean, that's a cheap, easy way to have, like, an online backup. It's stored in the email. There's multiple versions of it stored because, I do this all the time. And then so I have, like, the email from today, the email from the day before, that sort of thing. But that is one, simple, easy way to back up, what you're working on writing-wise. As my computer reminds me, it's been like 58 days since my last backup. Like, I use a portable hard drive to back up my computer. I plug it in every once in a while, not as often as my computer would like, and just run a time machine backup. So that's another strategy you can use. And then, of course, there's all kinds of, like, services, like, Dropbox and whatever. There's one called, I'm going to get the name wrong. Is it Mozy? I was going to say Moby, but that's the guy who's in the news for making up stuff in his memoir. Anyway. Yeah, anyway, just do what you can to back up your files, because while it's true that sometimes when you're forced to, rewrite something that you deleted accidentally, it can all turn out great. That isn't always the case. It isn't always the case. And why put yourself through that? I mean, you could always have the option to rewrite something if you want to, but you don't want to have to be forced to have to rewrite it, because that's kind of a pain. Yeah, so that's my little PSA to you this week. Like I said, not too much going on here. I'm going to try to keep moving along with my book. I don't really have a word count goal set for, next week at this point. But I am hoping to get some good, writing days in and get some work done and continue to move forward on the book. And like I said, I'm happy with the progress that I'm making, and hope I just can continue making progress at a pretty good pace. It's soon going to be June, which means next week I will have for you my latest author income report. Once again, don't get your hopes up, because despite getting that, Barnes & Noble special promo thing going and, my efforts to advertise, I don't think we're going to see a significant increase or any increase at all in my earnings for next month. But I will have that. I will share that with you next week. So look for that. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you all for tuning in, for listening or watching, or, however you consume Awkward Author. As I said, I put out new episodes every week and just talk about writing and publishing and, my sometimes awkward life as an author. So if you enjoyed, please feel free to subscribe, and you can get all my updates. If you'd like to know more about me, you can visit my website, which is alyssagrosso.com. That's ALISSAGROSSO.com. Until next time, guys, I hope you have a great week, and enjoy our, it's what we kind of call summer here because Memorial Days happened, but it's really not summer. But enjoy the summer weather. If you're somewhere that's getting, awful weather, we're just getting some rain right now, but I know, some of this country is getting a lot of rain and also tornadoes. And so hopefully you are not in the path of any of the nasty weather and that you all stay safe. I will see you again and talk to you again next week, guys.